Namaste and hello everyone. For some of us, our family is only complete when we have a pet in our life. It changes the routine a little bit, but it is worth all the selfless love you get in return. Today, we have an expert with us who is going to tell us how to take care of these lovely pets, how to groom them. So please welcome Dr. Narendra Gandhi. Hi Dr. Gandhi.
Hi Joey.
How are you?
Good, thank you. And you?
I'm good.
Great.
Doctor, I would like to start our discussion by asking you a question which is very close to everyone. That, when you want to keep a pet, you are deciding which breed to keep. How does one decide?
Absolutely. This is a very, very fair and important question because we come across a lot of people who just go by the puppy in the window syndrome.
Yes.
Every pup looks cute.
Yes.
And that's not the way you should select a dog. You should go for a pre-adoption counseling because there are a lot of things involved in choosing a pet. Most importantly, it's your family size, your space where you are living, your availability of time vis-a-vis exercise. Are anybody in the family allergic to pet dander? And what kind of expense are you likely to expect when you have a pet adoption? Because a big dog can eat up as much as like 3 kgs of fresh meat every day. So you should keep all these things into account because we've seen out of experience a lot of people abandon pets because they cannot afford the upkeep, which is a very sad state of affairs. So you should first go to the doctor, discuss all these possibilities and then select the appropriate pet, because the other thing that is most important is going by the average life of the pet, which is about 15 years now.
Yes.
You have to see what changes do you expect in your family. There could be a childbirth, there could be a marriage, there could be some travel plans, kids go out to study, a daughter can get married and change residence, there could be a new person in the house by virtue of marriage. Unfortunately, there could possibly be a demise if people are over 95 years of age. So you have to take all these into account and select a breed accordingly so that the breed is least disturbed by these happenings. So, and also because the other thing is the exercise commitment. So you have to see what kind of people will take them out for a walk. I mean, this is in a nutshell. There's a plethora of issues, but this is the minimum that you should discuss with your doctor.
But for someone who's never kept a pet before, so it is very difficult for them to know which breed has what behavioral issues.
Exactly. That's what we are in the business for.
Yeah.
And this is why I say pre-adoption counseling. A Saint Bernard looks probably the cutest in the window. The moment you have it, he'll grow up to be like 100 kgs. Yes. And you must know that a pet can tug 4 times its body weight. That's the average tugging power of a pet. So you're looking at somebody who can pull 400 kilograms. And that's not fair. Are you prepared to do that kind of physical work when taking him for a walk? Are you going to do it yourself or are you going to send it with somebody? That's another issue. So it involves a fair bit of commitment. It's not like a vehicle that can go to a service center and come back polished. So, you have to have an interpersonal relationship with the pet to make the best out of that relationship, because they are not only just companions, they are called healers, and any household, I can tell you again out of experience, who have pets, see much less sickness. It's a fact for sure.
Yeah, they're definitely great companions.
Oh, anti-stress, they are just fantastic when it comes to.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, pet adoption, now adoption of pets is, again, it's increasing. So there are a lot of good families who believe in adopting pets. But do you think for a first time owner, it is because you don't know the history of the pet when it's being adopted? So should they buy a pet or should they adopt a pet? They decide.
It's always, again, as I say, it's always good to go through an established channel so that, for example, if somebody has to come and ask me for a pet, I'll make sure that I do the background checks.
Yes.
Because it's a small world out there and you can always know the reputation of the breeder. Yeah. And unfortunately, if you are a first time pet owner, you will never know if the pet is coming from the source that the person who's selling you is telling. Because that's where, good channels come into play. It could be anybody. Yeah. So you must make sure the pet is examined before you have adopted the pet. If it needs some blood test, if it's possible, if the parents can be seen, nothing like it. Yes. Always check the immunization records of the parents so that the pup has come with required immunity levels. Okay. Otherwise, puppies who come from unvaccinated parents have very high chance of falling sick. Okay. And most of the diseases that the puppies will get are fatal in nature. For example, parvo, you have a 25% chance of survival. In distemper, you have no chance of survival. And it's not fair, it's not fair on you. It'll stress you out completely. You will think 1,000 times before acquiring a new pet. And since you are paying for it, why not? You should do it. Even if adoption, I mean, if you are willing to take liability, perfectly fine. That's your way of looking at it. But you must know what it entails, what kind of visits it will take to the veterinarian, and what kind of expense you are looking at.
So what is the number of visits to the vet?
So initially, when you get a pet initially, you have to do all the vaccines. If you get it beyond 8 weeks of age, there are 9 vaccines that you need to give. 9 sittings actually. There are 5 vaccines. They're spread over 9 because some of them need boosters. We in our practice do it once in 21 days. There are ways to do it quicker, but I always say why. You know, your pet should be examined through the growth by the veterinarian, and you know if there are any problems. I mean, you could finish the vaccine in 3 sittings. It's as simple as that also. We don't recommend that.
Guys, do stay tuned for a very interesting capsule of the break section, where we are going to show you how to really take care of your pet. Doctor, moving on to how to really take care of your pet at home, on how many times the pet should be fed.
Right. So basically there are 3 things involved here. One is his exercise, which is initially just taking him out for walks. He will be trained to do his jobs outside and or a designated place at 3 months of age. Before that, you have to establish all that in the house itself. Then the feeding pattern. Initially the pet will eat for more number of times, and eventually it will be either 1.5 times or 2 times as we call it. Then the third is grooming bit. You have to make sure that your pet is kept clean. He is not taken in spaces where he can pick up infections. He should be kept tick free, parasite free, should be dewormed regularly. His ears should be checked regularly. His nails should be checked regularly. There's something called anal gland, which we must clean regularly, because otherwise if you see dogs who are rubbing their bottoms on the ground, that's technically called scooting. That's because there are issues with anal glands. Now these are all part of grooming except for the anal gland. You must comb your pet regularly. It's a bonding exercise. You must do basic cleaning of the ears. Don't go too deep, you can harm the skin. The inner canthuses of the eye, some breeds, by virtue of the breeds they are, tend to gather muck because there's a duct that drains tears into the nasal socket. That gets blocked because of the anatomy issues. So you should massage the inner canthus of the eye. The inner side towards the nose is called inner canthus. Massage it gently so that it's open and patent, so there's no muck accumulated. Clean the eyes regularly. Some breeds do not shut their eyes completely, so you should put some refresh artificial tears so that it's moist always. And basically these little nail clipping, you could just file the nails, use your own filer, that's perfectly fine.
At home, is it safe?
At home, yeah. When filing is, don't clip, because then you can hurt the dog by going into the quirt or the blood supply. So don't do that. Just filing is good enough. It's a good bonding exercise. That's the minimum you would need to.
But what about baths? You know, they go.
So as times have changed, parlors have mushroomed everywhere. It's sorry, but my own dog goes for a bath every 15 days. We give him a bath every once in a while in the house, but that's very, very, very infrequent. We don't do that.
Okay. And when should new pet owners start giving a bath, and when should existing pet owners give a bath?
First 3 years, first 3 months, you don't really have to do anything except for dry groomings. Combing will suffice. If you want your pet to smell well, you can use some pet wipes as they are available now, or dry bath or dry sprays. Technically, grooming is the answer, which is like simple brushing. People complain that there's a new smell. Yes, there is new smell because their sebum smells different. It's the secretion on the secretion on the skin of the dog is called sebum. It has a different smell. So we explain, for just understanding sake, is whenever you acquire a new vehicle, it has a different smell because of plastic or wood or whatever is used. You get used to it. Don't try and beat it. You know, people keep using sprays, and the lesser chemicals you use on your pet, the better you are. In 3 years, I have not used any. Just clean it with water, that's good enough.
Okay.
You don't need to use chemicals because you're depriving the skin of essentials. Don't do that. That's what we recommend. And taking him out, I would not say, because the primary vaccines, especially distemper and parvo, are being done in those times. These are airborne diseases, and you have a lot of stray population. Those guys can be carriers and can transmit, so avoid that until your pet is vaccinated. Also, again, because of the menace of the street dogs, rabies must be done before you take them out. By the time this is complete, you are close to 4.5-5 months, and then take your dog out.
It's safe. But at the same time, you know, if 4.5-5 months, and especially with the current times, there are a lot of people I meet where they have so many issues with the dog's behavior.
Yeah, this is a new, the term they use now is the lockdown puppy.
Yes.
Which I don't really, I mean the dogs, one, they are not bothered by corona in any way.
Yes.
They are not carriers, they are nothing.
Yeah.
You should at least socialize pets. That's the minimum, even if it means just playing around. I mean, lockdown was 14 days, yeah. It's not like for 6 months. Everybody's gone about them doing businesses and things like that. If you do not expose dog to socialization, there will be temperamental and aggression issues later on. We always say do that in a small way, let other people handle. For example, if you don't want to do that, if you have a reasonable size of household, then let everyone feed separately to the dog so that he knows that everybody is a companion.
Yes.
And you know, if you can have some people over, you definitely know people who are not infested or infected, their houses are clean, you can among friends go. Socialization is a very important part of pet behavior, their bringing up and their overall temperament issues.
Okay, okay. So guys, it's really important, as much as you love your pets, please make them go socialize with other people, with other dogs, with other cats. Now we're going to get into our break section. I hope you like our hat-trick break section. Please enjoy the same.
Hi, so today we are here with Bella, who is helping us to demonstrate how to take care of a puppy. Most of us get a puppy at a very young age, roughly around 6 weeks of age. Bella is kind enough to be that patient in my lap, but that is how you should be holding a puppy. You should be able to comfort the puppy on your arm, giving it a rest like this, and keep touching, keep praising your dog, saying good puppy, nice puppy. Let them be comfortable, let them be cozy in your arm. Please remember the age that you get a puppy, they have just been weaned off. Their senses towards touch is not as developed. The only sense they have just till now heard is of their mother's heartbeat. Socialization is yet to begin. So the more your hand can comfort the puppy, and the more you can comfort your puppy with verbal praise, the sooner you develop a bonding with the puppy that comes home. In regard to taking care of a young puppy, please remember things which create a bonding with your new puppy is that you brush them twice daily, clean their ears. When we say clean their ears, you have to be very careful that, especially with breeds like Bella, the ears are very pendulous, the canal is pretty deep. So when you clean their ears, hold the ear straight and to the point your fingers can reach. Use an alcohol swab or use a spirit swab to clean the ears, or otherwise you even get good ear cleansing lotions which can be used even twice a week to clean the ears. On many occasions we attempt to clip their nails or attempt to do it ourselves, but I would suggest during the first few months don't attempt it on your own. Take a veterinary experience and guidance into consideration. Ask your vet how long the nail should be before they can be clipped. The angle from the paw to the visibility of the nail where they are not pink is a safer zone where the nails can be clipped. If you can feel that the pinkness is very close, or you can see a pink line on the nail of your dog, please don't go beyond that margin. That is when the puppy can feel hurt or can bleed. So now Leo is with us, and we wanted to tell you how to take care of a grown-up dog, because once your pet is grown up, there are a lot of other needs that would arise. As we told you with Bella, when you brush your dog, brush them twice daily, and brushing should be in the direction of hair and one stroke against the direction of fur so that all debris can be off. Brushing your dog helps in increasing circulation to the fur, but also would increase your bonding with the pet, because pet always associates that in terms of taking care of him and increasing that attention span. The other thing which you must take care about a grown-up dog is their dental hygiene. Remember, dental hygiene is important because 80% of cardiac and kidney infections only happen because dental hygiene is not taken care of. See this? That's the kind of teeth you look at in the beginning. This is incisors, and as you go back you have molars here. Gradually they start to turn pale and you have dental plaque coming over it. You get a lot of dental sticks and you get toothpaste also, which you can try. If you are attempting a toothpaste for the first time, first of all take a small quantity on the finger and let your pet taste it. The second attempt can be taking that quantity on your finger and rubbing on the gums. And the third attempt would be to use a finger mounted toothbrush with the same quantity of toothpaste and give a gentle brush all around the gums at least 3 times a week. Let your pet get used to that kind of brushing, and yes, once that brushing exercise or routine sets in, you can always speak to your veterinarian to get them cleaned once in 6 months or once in a year, depending upon the necessity of the breed of your pet. So I always say this, and I'm sure every pet lover knows this, that this love which a pet can give you comes for free and without any conditions.
That was really a great hat-trick break section where we learned so much about how to really take care of our pets at home ourselves, and thank you so much for these tips. Now, another misconception I've really heard is about the meals. You know, people misjudge the quantity of the food that has to be given to their pet. So whether the pet is 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, what is the right as per the different categories, if you can give us a general analysis?
So there are two things. Some people now choose to use what is called commercial foods. They are pretty simple in the sense that they have a column on one of the panels of the packet where it will say weight of the pet and how much to be given. But please bear in mind that these foods are not researched here, they are researched abroad, and they believe a certain amount of exercise is always given to the pet. In India, I'm sorry, we don't exercise our dogs, we don't have spaces to exercise our dogs. So you should always cut back on that ration by at least 15%. That's the starting point. Always keep an eye on your pet's weight. It's good to be 10% underweight than to be overweight. The other thing is now home cooked food. You have to understand from your doctor that certain foods are not good for dogs. Wheat is one such thing which we keep advocating. 4 out of 5 dogs will have some form of wheat allergy, and it can start at any age in dog's life. So try and avoid wheat and wheat products as much as you can. Basic law of feeding a home cooked diet to pets is 70 grams per kilo of live weight. So a 10 kg dog will need 700 grams of cooked food. Give and take a few grams here and there depending on exercise. So if you feel your pet is still hungry, increase by increments of 10%, and if the pet is still fine and able to digest, stay put. If he gets loose motion, then he's plain simple greedy. So you have to make that balance also. The choice you have to decide. It's not very difficult. You will eventually get hold of what is correct for him.
But how many times a day?
So coming to, as a puppy, till the vaccines are on, it's about 5 meals a day, depending on whether you're giving home cooked or commercial. If it's commercial, it's 3 meals. From 5 months to 1 year, it's 3 meals irrespective. And 1 year onwards, depending on the breed of the dog, except for large breeds which are in the section of 40 kgs plus, you should taper their meals much later because they're growing through, the growth time is like 2 years. For a Shih Tzu, the growth time is like 6 months. For a Cocker Spaniel, it's about 8 months. So you have to decide accordingly. And then once they've gone through the puppyhood, your vet is the best person to guide you and each individual breed, and then decide when to taper it. The other thing I would like to mention here is this exercise thing. A lot of people think big dogs should be exercised, fair enough. But they should not be exercised until they are fully grown, because their anatomy is not strong enough, their bone structures are not strong enough. You will run into problems of orthopedic nature much earlier than you actually should. Allow him to grow fully and then do your exercise bit. Again, depending on the breed, you must understand some breeds are prone to some problems where exercise can predispose them for that. Especially large chested dog, they get something called bloat. So by the time you realize it's bloat, it's always too late. Always. It's invariably you have a less than 2% chance of survival in that. So again, discuss with your doctor what are the precautions. One such thing, if you want to put it on air, is that you should not feed anything half an hour on either side of exercise if you have a large dog. So that there is nothing in the stomach that can move it. Bloat is basically rotation of stomach around its own axis. So we want to prevent that. And food, because it will put gravitational pressure, the stomach will distend and it can lead to a twist, which we don't want.
Okay, that's interesting. And as you mentioned that there are some diseases and each breed has its own problems when we come to dogs, and cats also, I'm sure they have their own set of problems they come with. But how do you know your dog is sick? Because a lot of people don't even realize that their pet is sick.
So if you see anything out of the ordinary or normal lasting beyond 12 hours and is not acute in nature, when we say acute, it's bleeding from any of the orifices, it could be in front, at back or urinary tract, that's emergency. If he's vomiting just uncontrollably, then you should also rush him to the doctor. If he's not eaten for a day or two, don't bother. Loose motions, don't bother, it's not such a big deal. 1 or 2 vomits, accept it, no problem. So the another thing here, I'm sorry this is not related to this, but it's very normal in canine world for animals to eat their own vomitus. So if they're doing that, it may not look good, but it's perfectly normal. Allow them to do it. It's nothing bad. So then you know whether it was a reflux or it was an actual pathological vomit. Anything that continues beyond 12 hours must be attended to. You must have a basic concept of you must learn how to take rectal temperature in a dog, because it's an important, if you get a call at like 12 at night, so I'll ask him, do you feel the dog is hot? Answer is yes. That's because their normal temperature is much higher than ours. So they are 101.4, we are 98.6. So that gap is like 3.5 degrees. You'll always feel it warm. So always learn to take rectal temperature. If the pet is showing normal temperature, then you know it's not an emergency situation. And if there's a breathing difficulty and things like that, then of course these are emergency signs. When he's not able to breathe properly, he's not able to suddenly stand up, then you should not wait. So you have to just, over a period of time, you will get a grip of what is important, what is emergency and what is not emergency. But at every stage, clear your doubts with your doctor so that you are not caught off guard. It's not very difficult, it's just simple observation patterns. And in our some continued series, we'll tell you how to observe some health standards. It's not very difficult.
Doc, we have another question that if you're a vegetarian and the family, no one eats non-veg, then should you keep the pet vegetarian?
You can do that. You will end up with deficiency of certain vitamins, but these can be supplemented because for their normal functioning, they need to secrete and they need a precursor of a vitamin B, especially B group. And if you don't feed them the meat that's not there, you can just use a substitute. There is absolutely no problem. But some people resort to commercial foods because all commercial foods are non-vegetarian.
Yes.
So, which is the other reason why.
But otherwise, it's healthier to give.
Perfectly fine. If your dog is not eating vegetarian food, is perfectly healthy. There is, except for that little deficiency issues, which can be very easily addressed. There is absolutely nothing to worry about.
But then there's a misconception that if they eat too much non-veg, their breath stinks.
Well, that's true to some extent, and it's not because it's because the fiber of the meat gets stuck in their mouth and they don't brush. So the decaying happens much quicker. Digestibility of meat and meat products is slower and longer and difficult on the system as against vegetarian stuff.
For all the new pet parents, the biggest question is, should we get the teeth shaved of the pet?
Never, please don't do that. No, just you don't have to do. Why do you need to do that in the first place? I mean, today with advent of technology, training is a cakewalk. Believe me, it's not rocket science. I mean, if I'm allowed to take names, there's one Dr. Cesar Milan who from a veterinarian became a behaviorist. His videos are amazing, and you don't, people employ trainers, you can do that to learn how to do it, but at the end, if you do not reinforce, everything is down the drain. So you have to do it yourself. The pet is going to be living with you, not with the trainer. Respect that sentiment. Do that, learn it from a trainer, there's no problem. But until you have reinforced for double the time or at least as much time with the same trick and commands, it's all down the.
So reinforcement with treats or with just.
So another dogs, there is a very good research that says that they appreciate physical and verbal praise more than treats.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, this is definite.
So don't rely on only the treats, guys.
Be careful with treats because we are in an unregulated market. I had a cat. I mean, I'm just again give you an example. We had to do a pre-op check for a surgery. She had to be spayed, and her liver was off. I said, "Well, this looks not fine." And I said, "What are you doing?" We just stopped treats. So when we took the history, the cat was getting half her food supplement from treats. We simply stop treats, this cat is fine in 1 week. So don't overdo. It's like feeding too much of chocolate. You don't want to do that. So you have to be really as miser as you possibly can.
Doctor, is it important to neuter your pets? Because a lot of people are against it. A lot of people don't know when is the right time for neutering.
It is medically, if you ask me, the answer is yes.
Okay, okay.
Emotionally, well, it's everybody's personal this thing. But I'll tell you one thing very important. Intact females will always end up with problems associated with reproductive system which will require surgery.
Okay.
And those are not elective procedures, those are emergency situations. So if you operate your pet in right time,
Yes.
so there's a debate going on between Europe and America whether you should do it before the first heat or after the first menstrual cycle. In America they say before the first heat, in Europe they say after the first cycle. So it's, but you in any case you should do it, because they say menstrual cycle is a growth landmark.
Okay.
So you should do it when the puppy is fully grown, because there are some growth factors that can be taken away, which is a fair reasoning. We have done it before first menstrual cycle also in females. It's perfectly fine. We have had no issues. Male dogs, depending on what breed you have, should be operated as soon as they achieve adulthood.
It's a very big misconception that tetanus and rabies injections need to be taken by everyone, even if the pet is any age, and if you're bit by a dog or a cat. So what is this? Can you clear it?
Very well, I must say. Yeah, that's we keep getting these queries every day. They say this dog has scratched me, may I? So one thing, tetanus they won't get. Where will they get tetanus from? They are not exposed to tetanus. Two, rabies does not have a carrier stage. Rabies is always full-blown disease, and once the virus is being excreted in saliva, your dog cannot live beyond 14 days, and there are apparent signs of sickness. So you cannot miss it. You can't be sitting on a rabid dog, I can tell you that much. Yes, if it's a street dog where you don't know the vaccination status, we don't know what went wrong, and the dog bit and ran away, things like that, then you have to follow WHO guidelines, which will say any dog that disappears post contact is considered to be rabid. So you have to follow these protocols of sometimes hyperimmune serum depending on the nature of bite, and post-op courses of post-exposure rabies. Then these are normal. But for a pet dog, they are on our food, they are on our bed, we are kissing.
So it's a pure misconception.
That's absolutely the biggest misconception, I would say. And we get these calls almost every day, and with pictures. There's a scratch mite, there's a bite. There's nothing to be done. No, don't worry about that.
So guys, stop worrying about it. It's fine. They're your pets. You let them lick you let them kiss you, it's fine. Now we're going to move on to a very interesting section called the bites fire round, and over here I'm going to ask you a couple of questions where you have to just answer whatever first comes to your mind. Okay, so I'm going to start off with small dogs or big dogs?
Small dogs.
And why?
Because they're easy to manage. If you have emergency, you can carry them to the clinic. You don't have to seek help. If you have a 40 kg dog being taken to an emergency, you'll need space, you will need people, you will need a lot of paraphernalia. For a small dog, but why small specifically? If your pet is attacked by other dogs on the street, lift your dog, nobody will attack him. For a 40 kg dog, he will go and charge back at them. So everybody is involved. Which is why small dogs always.
Home food or the packaged food?
I would say home food.
Treats or no treats?
Training treats.
Training treats.
No pampering.
Leash or no leash?
Leash outside, inside no, not even collar.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much, Doctor. This was a great conversation. We loved having you on Hat Trick Bites.
Thank you, Juvi. Thank you. I hope it helps the target people understand what we are trying to convey to them, and I'm more than happy to be a part of it always.
So now we know how to take care of our best companions. Don't go by the myths. Love them, take care of them, and take expert advice. For more insightful insight stories like these, stay tuned on Hat Trick Bites. This is Juhi Khanna signing off.